Recording.
Recording in progress.
It is.
This is a tough one.
Well, we're live.
Oh, hey, hey, hey,
Hey.
and me staring off into space.
The, the
What?
TDs and space stairs.
That was yes. It
Maybe that's
was.
the new name. I don't know. We're still
Oh,
working on
we're
that.
still working on it. Workshopping it. Workshopping it.
I'm
Almost like we
Derek.
should. All right, I'm Harland.
What were you gonna say, Harlan?
Oh, so it's almost like we should let AI pick our
That's what we've
our
done.
I know. And it was like, well, I guess other people got this name. You can get it too.
It's so ridiculous. Like, I actually like Chat GPT for things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, uh, usually like coding semantics that I don't want to Google search because it's something I haven't done in like 20 years. I'm like, oh, how do I sort this, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
simply do this. I'm like, great. That's what ChatGPT is built for. Or, hey, ChatGPT, can you give me like a list of names for a podcast about two Bears fan and a Giants fan talking football? And it's always stuff like Big Apple Blues
Yeah.
versus Windy City Gridiron. I'm like, what does that mean?
That's horrible.
Yeah.
Bears and Giants talk
Yes.
football.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that was very spot on the nose, but can you be a
Broad
little bit more clever?
Broadway meets the Lakeshore touch football talk. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
no one. I would never click on that as a possibility if it came up, right? So,
First city versus second city. Y'all don't probably don't like that one.
nope, I wouldn't do that either.
Oh man. You like where I brought Giants versus Bears into that conversation about that
Yes,
guy getting
you always try to Giants versus Bears things. Uh,
Oh.
we need
I
to.
had to say in the last years because I'm pretty sure if we would have probably looked at historically
Mhm.
who has won more, it's probably y'all.
Oh, over the history
Over
of
the
football,
history of both of the two oldest one of some of the oldest teams in NFL history.
who has more total wins, the Chicago Bears or the New York Giants? Just give me numbers. Come on, Google. I don't need the rivalry. I just need to know total wins. Bears versus Giants record. No, I don't need that either. But you know what? I'm going to tell you what. Trying to look up anything is impossible anymore. How many wins have the
Impossible.
Bears had in their history? The Bears are 793 wins. How many?
What?
That's what it says.
Oh, I have it right now. Chicago Bears lead the series 36-25-2.
Oh, compare. Oh, like versus one another. I thought you meant like
Yes.
all
Oh, you meant
time
like
victories.
all-time wins? Oh, all-time victories.
The
We
Bears
have
have
to have.
793 wins versus the Giants. How many? How many wins the the New York Giants had in their history? 793 to. Now, come on,
We
Wikipedia.
are
The Giants have won more than 700 games. Okay, well, what's the
yes,
number?
721.
Okay, so 70 less wins than the Bears. That, you know what,
How many seasons do y'all have?
6 to 10, I think.
What? 6 to 10 seasons?
The
What?
793 wins over the last decade. The Bears are an expansion team, apparently. I don't know. They've been around since like 1845 or something like that.
So next year is actually the Giants' 100th year.
Hmm.
19, well, that's not right. 1925 to 2023. So guess, but it says seasons 99. 99 seasons the Giants had.
So next year's the 100th season.
100th season.
Yeah, the Bears had the 100th season like in 1920 or something like that, or in 2020.
1920, man.
Yes.
Yo.
They've been around since the 1920s.
1800s.
Yeah, pretty much. All right. Well, do we need to talk about big time Giants news?
If by big time Giants news is we reluctantly got our defensive coordinator, if that's is
Boom.
that the news?
The Giants agree to terms with Shane Bowen, their new defensive coordinator.
Shane actually spelled the correct way versus every time I try to
Schon.
every time I try to say our general manager's name, I want to call him Sheowen.
Schon. You know, it's like the weird spelling of Sean, right? It's people that spell it S-E-A-N. That's clearly Scene. Or Cian. That's not. It's never Sean.
Never Sean.
But this is Shane Bowen. I know nothing of Shane Bowen in his history.
Yeah, he was the offensive coordinator apparently of the Titans when Vrabel was there. Yeah.
Well, they did decent defense.
I said defense coordinator. Yes,
I knew what you meant.
They were in the top 10 one of those years, I think.
That's not too bad.
It's not. But it doesn't seem like it was their first choice.
Yeah, like, well, wonder what they were sweet. The thing, if I'm a Giants fan, that would be disappointing to me is there's other staffs that have been totally filled out from a defensive coordinator position in the off season, and it's like the Giants are like at the end.
Yeah,
like everybody else got their defensive coordinators. I think even the Washington Commanders got their defensive coordinator. I think Dallas Cowboys are
the Dallas Cowboys don't have theirs. Yeah.
And they're looking at Ron Rivera.
Yeah, that's not gonna work.
Riverboat Ron? No, I don't think so.
Not gonna work. Not from Dan Quinn to him.
Even the Bears got their defensive coordinator.
I think the Giants wanted, I forget who they wanted. They wanted a few people that they just didn't get. They whiffed on. I think they wanted the Bills guys. I think there was just a few teams that they wanted and they just didn't get them for whatever reason. Maybe Daboll is a jerk. I don't know.
That's a possibility.
That's what's been going around. He wound up losing. He fired his entire offensive staff, so he had to hire pretty much not offensive staff, defense. O-line coach was fired. Tight ends coach wound up leaving. They just signed a tight ends coach. Special teams coach was fired. I think we got a new special teams coach. Defensive coordinator left after he fired all his linebackers coach. Like after he's like, yeah, I'm gonna fire your guys too. I know. And but honestly, we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
There was and I cannot find it anywhere. And this is how I know that Brian Daboll is to me feels sketchy. During the draft last year, I watched almost every minute of televised draft last year.
Oh God.
which is kind of gross when you think about it.
Yes.
But there was a time when they're like, let's check in on the Giants. And you see Brian Daboll stand up and he rubs his fingers across his gums.
I didn't see that one. I didn't see that one.
Oh, you can't find it anywhere else. I remember seeing it, and there was a Twitter thread, or not Twitter, Reddit thread about it, and it's like, what is he rubbing across his gums? And the consensus is either Adderall or Coke. I assume it's Adderall. But, like, there's live cameras there.
What if it's Ambisol? What if he has tooth problem? He has a massive tooth decay, and Ambisol is the only thing he had to numb his gums.
Maybe it's a topical painkiller for his gums.
That's what.
Which I think cocaine
would
be as well. So,
and see, he's not using that. He went to Ambisol.
But I cannot find that clip anywhere online. It's NFL scrubbed.
Maybe it didn't happen. Maybe it never happened.
I saw it happen. I was like, what? And then I remember going to Reddit and it was like the top post for a minute there.
Listen. If he has a coke problem, hey, who cares? Who cares?
Yeah, he's not a player. It doesn't matter.
Who cares? Look at him. We got owners who's just coming back from, I don't want to say possible suspected overdoses.
Oh, where
Jim Irsay just came.
Where what's it called?
Narcan. They said supposedly had to bring him was the only thing to bring him back.
Opioid. Like, listen, I'm not going to demonize people with substance abuse problems, right?
No.
But
it happens.
For me, with Daboll, that to me is just like a brand of arrogance associated with, because there's so many live cameras in the war room. And
That's why it was Ambisol. That's what it had to be.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. It had to be Ambisol. But So they finally get a defensive coordinator. And I haven't talked about the Bears and what they've done because they had to get a defensive coordinator because they had to fire their previous defensive coordinator for
Oh, we still don't know.
behavioral problems.
We
And
still don't know.
we don't know what that was. But they hired Eric Washington, which I thought was a great hire because he started with the Bears as a coordinator, but he was the Bills' defensive line coach last year, which would be good. So Eberflus, who is a secondary guy, we'll have the DBs coached, and then Eric Washington will be doing the defensive line. But then the Bears also had to hire their offensive coordinator because they let Luke Getsy go, which was the right move because he's a terrible offensive coordinator. That's fine. But they struck while the iron was hot because when Pete Carroll was stepped down or was fired or whatever happened,
You think he was fired?
I think it was one of those, we're going to fire you, and it was.
Pete Carroll?
I think that's. I just think it's like, dude, you're old.
It's your time.
We
it's
need
your time,
to move in a different direction. We'd love you. You've done so much for this organization, but you're 72. We just have to make moves. So they made moves, right? That's fine. But it allowed the Bears to swoop up Shane Waldron, their offensive coordinator, who was on my short list of, if they fire Eberflus, let's look at this guy as for head coach, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then he built a really nice staff around him. I don't remember all the names, but they're whatever. But Luke Getsy's gone. But now Luke Getsy got hired this week by the Las Vegas Raiders as an offensive coordinator.
They missed out on Chris Kingsbury.
They missed out on Kingsbury.
They said ink was almost dry on the paper that he signed.
Like they had announced it. Like they hadn't announced it, but they were like everyone else had announced it. And then all of a sudden, well, Cliffy boy is going to go somewhere else. And
Washington, right?
Well, and then Washington swooped in.
Washington with Quinn.
Yes.
With Dan Quinn.
Yes. So
Dan Quinn has had Kyle Shanahan as OC, and they went to the AFC the Super Bowl, and got destroyed by by New England in that one. Not destroyed, but they had the biggest meltdown. So he's had solid offensive coordinators, people who, I don't think Cliff is that great of a head coach, but as an OC,
I don't think
it might work.
No, here's the thing. Even I don't know. I just think I don't think he runs a pro style offense. I think he has an offense that
he's college. He's very college.
Works in the college ranks, but I just don't see it. I think so. There's a lot that happened with that too, because Ben Johnson was supposed to be the head coach of Washington, and he's the offensive coordinator for Detroit. Remember, and that was that was all but signed.
Yep, that's what I've heard people say, that that's the only thing they can think of why Washington didn't interview anyone else. That other thing, they had to have known that was going to that was their pick, like almost signed, but never happened. He decided lately to not do it.
Well, I mean, to his advantage and Washington's disadvantage, he was playing in the NFC Championship game, or his team was. So he had to prepare for that. And to his credit, he didn't. He was fully dedicated to that, even though they blew, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they couldn't hold the in-person interview until after they were out of the playoffs.
Which, if you're an agent, you gotta love that.
Yes. So they was set up for that the Tuesday after the game or whatever. The Washington brass were flying out, but they weren't flying out just for Ben Johnson. They were also flying out to interview somebody else as well. I can't remember what the name is. And Ben Johnson on Monday said, it's just I don't want the job.
I want to run it back.
I don't want. Well, he said that it didn't, the fit didn't feel right to him because the owners are basketball people that have an inflated sense of their football knowledge.
That's what he said?
That's what he said. And it wasn't a good fit for him. So there's a chance, and I kind of felt this way after Magic Johnson and company bought the Commanders, and as soon they would lose the game and Magic would come out and have things to say about the loss. There's like,
oh, he did.
Yeah, he would come out after losses and be like, we need to do this, we need to stop this. And it's like, I don't know if that's like the right venue for him.
But let me ask a question.
Sure.
Yes, he's a basketball guy,
Mm-hmm.
right? And but half the other owners, are they football guys? Like, show me an owner
Oh, that's true.
not an owner, but any new owner who's a football guy. David Tepper,
Sure.
because
Nope.
he had something to do with the Pittsburgh Steelers, maybe. Like the guys who own the Rams, like Jerry Jones was an oil guy. The guy who's the owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars is a soccer guy. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like it's hard to say they're basketball guys. They don't know. Wow, man. The Walmart owns the Denver
that's
Broncos.
true.
They're not.
But I don't think it's so much the basketball guy as it is the
basketball people
the
running
knowledge. They're an inflated view of their football.
Jerry Jones.
I understand, but I mean,
Yes.
listen. Same situation. You named good names. Let's say Tepper came to you, and we've joked about him pretty consistently.
Yes.
I wouldn't want to work for him in a football capacity. I don't
No.
care how much he's throwing money at me. Well, except for the fact that
Except he
I'll
throws a
get
lot of
fired,
money at
and then I
you.
don't have to do anything, and I collect those checks.
No, I can't say except he throws a lot of money.
Yes, and then he fires you almost instantly, and then you
Instantly.
still has to pay. All right, so
Yes.
there's that. But I mean, if this was your chance to if it doesn't feel right to you, you don't have to pull that trigger. But this is 2 years in a row
don't.
he's done this, so I don't think it's a bad move. I think you just do
No,
you do whatever
it's-
is supposed to be right for you.
He's got a job when he wants a job.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, he's got, and it's like I have the ability to pick the job that I want, and I don't want that job. But that to me is all you have to say.
Yes.
It wasn't right for me.
Yeah.
Not at this point in time.
Which-
I want to run it back. There's so many things you could say.
Which is what he would have done if the Commanders didn't talk about how unprofessional he was.
I don't think he was. Was he Josh McDaniels unprofessional,
Yeah.
or is he just? I guess when they say that unprofessional, they means we had a verbal agreement and he probably reneged on his verbal agreement. That's the only thing I could think of as unprofessional. But
Let me
technically,
see
they
if I
shouldn't have
find
had a
these
verbal
quotes.
agreement. He'd never interviewed for the position, I don't think.
No, he just had the one virtual interview, the Zoom call. Right? I'm trying to find if I can find anything, but it was basically, but then you also get, so after this happened, you get some of the mouthpieces like Schefter talking shit about Ben Johnson afterwards, about how he's ruined his chances to be head coach. He's passed
Nope.
2 years in a row. Like
Nope.
this is how you go from being on a short list to not being on a list.
It can.
Mhm.
The owners talk. They're going to be in their meetings, and same meetings where they said, listen, we're going to transition tag Lamar. Don't nobody take him. Nobody take Lamar. We still want him. Okay. So these are the same meetings that could easily say, we don't like this guy,
But
he's not the guy for you guys.
what's his face?
He'd be blackballed easily, I believe, in NFL.
What's his face? The Titanic captain of sinking ships. The Titanic of
Josh?
Titanic captains, Josh McDaniels.
Josh
Remember,
McDaniels.
he got hired by the Colts.
That's what I meant.
And
yeah.
and then he said no.
He made them fire people. He was like, I'm bringing this guy over too. They was like, oh, I guess we're firing our offensive coordinator. He's like, okay.
And then
They
he still
fired
got a
up-
job afterwards.
Yeah. But he better never work again.
Oh God,
He
should.
can't, at least not a head coach job. He should take a break from coaching for a little bit because he's just not good. So-
Maybe that's why Bill Belichick didn't get any real,
Because he kept telling everyone he's bringing that guy.
Yeah.
That's-
except for apparently the Falcons, but he turned down the Falcons, supposedly.
Yeah. Supposedly. That sounds like, that seemed like a safe face move. Well, I don't want to work for the minute like that. You know what I mean? Like people keeps now talking about, hey, Bill, why didn't you get a job this one? Now it's like, well, I didn't get a job because I didn't want the job. Like instead of Bill, you didn't get the job because you weren't really wanted.
Well, now what if he's coming from a team that he was pretty much forced out of that did not have a quarterback for the last 3 years?
Mhm.
And if the only position that's what if the only opportunity was the Falcons, and their current quarterback is Desmond Ritter, who is, and if they didn't have a legitimate plan at quarterback, then
But
why
that's
would you want to take that job?
but that's you come in if you do you not want to run half the side of the field
But
as the head coach?
but Belichick
We got
can't
we got
put
free agents we could get. Who do you want us to try to get? Do you want us to try to make a trade for Russell Wilson? Do you want us to get Jameis Winston to come over here for a year? Who do you want us to try to get? We need someone to come and lead us, right? Because we obviously don't know what we're doing. Our general manager may have some input on stuff, right? we don't know what we're doing. We need you to come lead us, to tell us in the direction that you want to do it. You're giving you the ability to lead us. No, we don't have a pick. We don't have it. But do you want us to go? Is there anyone you want us to try to go up there and try to get? Is there anyone that you're looking at specifically? Like, what do you want us to do? And I don't know. I think that's what a head coach should be, right? But I
Yeah.
don't know if Bill wants to even. I really truly think he wants to get paid as a head coach, but coach one side of the ball and and talk about military strategies in meetings. I think that's all he wants to do
Yeah.
as a head coach. He no longer wants to run a team and build a team from scratch, which that's why Atlanta always seemed weird to me. Like, why take the 2 interviews?
Yeah.
Because it's the only 2 you had.
Could be,
Like-
unless it's, it could totally be. Because that first interview is Zoom, right? And I have no idea what an NFL head coach interview is. Right? Is it an hour? Are you on a Zoom call for like 5 hours talking football? Like, what is it? Right? Is it just a feeling out? Like, are you interested?
gotta be a
We're
formality.
interested. What are your thoughts? How would you take this? And then
Do you think you're talking to Bill Belichick, and do you think you have X and O's on the board and he has to take a coaching test for his first interview? He's been coaching for 20, 30 years. The
50.
man's got 6 championships. The first one has got to be hey, this is the owner. We're going to talk to you.
Yeah.
You're going to get a second interview. You're going to meet some more people in the organ. That's got to be all it is for someone like him.
But the thing is,
Now, for other people, it might be different. But for him, it's just got to be a meet and greet. 2 meet and greets.
and it's Bill Belichick. He probably knows all the people anyway, right?
Exactly. He's worked with them in some capacity. He's seen them after 50 years in the NFL. He knows
Every
lot
one of
people.
those people on the call, he knows them in some way or another. Whether it's
And
just
they
by
know
name
him.
and face or, I've known you for 20 years. I'm the godfather of your children. Like, who knows? Like, you don't know.
Yes. Yep.
It's been around for so long, but I
Hey,
don't know.
remember you beat us in the Super Bowl? like, how many people did he learn from that? Just like, oh, sorry, that was a good game. He shook every one of those people's hands.
Mm-hmm. Do your job. I don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't know what to think of any of that. He doesn't have a home. And he's not the Giants' defensive coordinator.
He's not. He could be the Cowboys.
He won't be. There's no way. There's no way. If you were McCarthy, would you want to bring in the second winningest head coach of all time to be your defensive coordinator?
Does it matter though? McCarthy's not getting an extension.
I understand that, but now you bring
yes,
you bring in this guy
I do
right
want him.
below you?
Yes,
No.
because what's the worst that happens? The best that happens is we win a Super Bowl because of him. They don't fire me because I win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
The worst, we stink, and I'm not signed for next year. To me, for him, that's a win-win situation. If we win the Super Bowl, you're gonna what are you gonna do? Fire me and hire Bill? You could, but then I still could get a job anywhere else. I just won the Super Bowl. I would take it. I would take all the help I can get in my final year. I don't care who you bring in.
But it could also lead to a position where, like, you start off 1-2.
Yeah,
And it doesn't matter.
1-2. That seat was hot real fast.
Yeah, Jerry comes in, it's like, you're out of here. And then he gives it to Bill. And
And then you win the championship, and then you really look bad.
yeah, you're 1-2. Like
That
Dak sprained an ankle in preseason, so he missed the first 2 games.
first, yeah, something like. Speaking of Dak, I don't
Mhm.
know if we need to talk this. Did you see what I sent you?
I didn't watch it, but I saw it, and I didn't have to watch it because it's insanity. But I will.
It is. It was absolutely insanity. I have no clue what Skip Bayless is talking about. His take on Dak Prescott was so bad.
I don't want to
I,
read the take or hear the take, but I will read the headline. I'd rather have Cooper Rush or Trey Lance ... That I'm assuming than Dak than Dak. And it says
he
Dak has
he
flamed out.
named almost every quarterback. He said, I would rather have Anthony Richardson, even though I've only seen him 3 games, than Dak Prescott. He said it's a coin flip between Dak Prescott and Daniel Jones on who I'd have right now. Like I've seen, he said, I've seen all I can see. There's no way. When he said Trey Lance, he said, because Trey Lance looks like a gamer, and I know he's got some skills, and I know he's probably got more football acumen than Dak. I said, all right, Skip, I think you're starting to get early stage dementia. I don't want to say it, but it's possible.
He's an engagement merchant, right? Right. That's
But
what
it hurts because like you want to respect some of these people's opinions, and then you realize, like, I understand he's a journalist. Like, I'm not taking any of his journalism away from him, but when it comes to talking sports, he doesn't seem any knowledgeable than anyone else who talks in front of a microphone. He does not seem knowledgeable anymore.
I think my favorite thing. I don't pay Skip Bayless any mind whatsoever. I don't follow him on any social media. I don't watch his show. I've never watched his show. I see clips constantly because they're being shared for how insane they are. He came to Chicago and worked for the Tribune and was a Bears writer in the mid '90s.
He must have been getting fired from everywhere else.
Oh, he got fired from there
he was
pretty
in
quick.
Dallas.
He came from Dallas to Chicago. Did not last very long there. And then when he became a thing on ESPN, I was like, Skip Bayless? Like, I couldn't understand it. And it was the same thing. Remember when Jay Mariotti used to be on ESPN all the time? And he was a Chicago Sun-Times.
He's a Chicago White Sox, yeah.
And I couldn't figure out why like, Jay Mariotti, that idiot? Like, he's on, like, his opinions, these guys' opinions were there's no value to them. I wanted to say invaluable, but that means good, right?
That means
they were worthless, right? They had no value to them whatsoever, and they were just insanity. And most of them were just cribbing off of what they heard on sports radio the day before.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that Skip has this continuous platform and he exists, the only thing I will say that makes me laugh every time, and it's the greatest thing that he ever does, and it's unintentionally funny, is when he does after after a Cowboys loss, he does his march into the kitchen
the kitchen with the jerseys away.
Now you know he's got his wife sitting there with the phone, holding the phone up. And the last time he did this, after they lost in the wild card round, the automatic trash can lid kept going down on him every time he went to go throw
down on him.
So he had to keep like waving his hand over to get the lid to go up, and then as soon as it would go up,
never got it right.
It was
he took off 7 things and never once got it right.
And he's throwing away Micah Parsons jerseys, and they look like they've never been worn. They're still like creased from when he bought
them just to throw them away.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, they definitely were they still had the folds in them.
Yes, they still creased. They never been washed, never been worn, nothing. So it's just insane. He's so insane. He's such a just a drama queen, merchant horror, engagement horror, right? Just everything is about that. And I get that that's what modern journalism is, but it sucks.
It's not, we can't call that journalism.
They do. He does.
He does, but it's no longer journalism. He's got to know it's not journalism. It's what we're doing. We're not journalists. We just have a take, and we're just yelling stuff out there. It's what every fan has been doing since football has been televised or even on the radio. Like, it's just what you've been doing.
But why Skip? I never understood that. Why him? Is it because he's so willing to just be insane in a direction?
Because some people when they say things, you're like, oh, that was just a joke, right? That was you can see, oh, okay, you didn't mean that. But when he says things, you're like, wait, did you mean that? And then you look at him, you're like, wait, you meant that. And then it becomes that outlandish. Like his takes on basketball, because he thinks he could have played some sport at some level because he played high. It's ridiculous. And we're like, you can't really believe that. You really can't believe it. And he does. And I think that's the reason why you get so much, because some people say stuff just to say stuff, but he might actually believe it.
There actually, you know what? I gotta find it. There is a tweet that is, it's got to be Skip Bayless's burner, and I gotta find it. But yeah, he's so insane. Like I don't understand like how he gets that. Um, I don't know. I look for this thing here. I gotta find it. Because you need the wording for it. I wish I had it queued up, but I don't.
You know, he's and it's become kind of popular to be that guy, and I don't know. Doesn't help anything. It does. It doesn't help. I don't know. I don't know. It's really weird. I know people don't like Stephen A. Smith. I actually like Stephen A. Smith. I don't know why. I think sometimes he's a jerk as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he knows what he knows, and basketball's his thing. And when he's not talking basketball, he's talking from a fan perspective. Like he doesn't seem like, I know I'm the end all be all. Now, when he's talking basketball, he truly believes he's the end all be all of every conversation.
Stephen A. Smith, to me, he just yells a lot, and that's
He
part of my
does.
that's my part of my problem with him.
He's a New Yorker.
Yeah.
Through and through. That's just what is Mike Lupica. Not Mike Lupica. Not Mike Lupica doesn't y'all like Mike Lupica. But Mad Dog.
Oh.
Oh my God. Oh yeah. Yeah,
Why?
it's kind of oh man, I used to listen to Mike and the Mad Dog when I was younger, and I used to think they was so great on the radio. But now watching Mad Dog on TV, that's so great. That's a great.
Yeah. Actually, any sports radio is tough anymore, and I think it's, I don't know.
I listen to local sports radio out here because we don't have a professional team. It's mostly college sports here, and it's not that bad. I actually like it. The horn out here is pretty good. But I kind of like them because they're just like Cowboys fans from afar, so they hate them just like I do, but they just don't want to say it because they know half their audience is Cowboys fans. But no, it's that's really all I listen to now. I don't listen to anything on the radio that isn't sports talk radio. When I go on my trips for work, I find ESPN radio, listen to whoever's locally over there.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't do it. I used to listen to Chicago sports radio a lot. It's just too much because it's just everybody just the takes are pseudo intellectual complaining constantly, right? Like everybody just kind of giving. I just can't do it anymore. And I know.
I love it, especially when they let the local fans call in and they're just so upset. Like when I was in Boston for work, listening to the Bailey Zappi Mac Jones call. Oh my God, I couldn't get enough of it. It was great. Those people were calling in. Oh, it was so great.
So the last time I listened to like anything that would be sports radio, I was listening to the Bears game, and it was back when Fields was hurt, and they had Tyson Bagent in there. And so at halftime, they would take calls, and I'm just like, why are we taking calls? Why are we taking calls during a live Bears game?
Game's not even over yet.
And there are like 3 or 4 very distinct sorts of Bears sports callers, right? You get the one that's like this, and they'll remind you of like 1946. There was, this happened. But the majority of them are like, they mispronounce names, They talk like this all the time, right? So,
that a real voice, or is it a fake
it's
voice?
a real voice. This is how they talk in a lot of Chicago, like this, right? And so, what's funny is those are the people that feel like the super fan skit, the sketch that used to be on, was something to take pride in, as opposed to like, oh, it's New Yorkers
They were
making
laughing
fun
at
of
them.
Chicago people, right? So that's what it is, right? But they'll always say stuff like, oh, that. I like that Tyson Bagent kid. He's clearly a better quarterback than Justin Fields. And you're like, clearly, it's like so those, right? Or back in the day, we need to get more of that Josh McNowns in there, because Jay Cutler, he just doesn't have the heart to go out there and play. And like, Jay Cutler doesn't have the heart. It's always something. I don't like Jay Cutler because he looks angry. He doesn't look like he wants to play football. He's angry on the sidelines, and his teammates clearly hate him. Stuff like that, right? Like, where are you coming from? Those are the Chicago takes. I can't stand Chicago sports callers. Oh boy, I'm never gonna find this tweet. But anyway, the tweet was something along the lines of, I think I would be able. I could score a touchdown in football. I could accidentally hit a home run. I could score 2 points in basketball for sure. But if you want me to play a game of hockey, there's no way I could handle it. Those guys are insane, right? So there's lots to unpack there in that.
That's because you can't ice skate. That's obviously, you just believe that ice skating is the toughest thing ever to happen. Apparently,
I could easily score a touchdown in the NFL. I could probably accidentally hit a home run. No, you're not going to. This man is not going to.
There's no accidentally home runs.
Now, the one that's maybe the most likely
is to score a point,
score a basket in the NBA. That's if you just get the ball and you just throw.
You just chuck it up. You got a better chance. Yes,
there's a level of percentage chance that will eventually go in with a long enough timeline, right? So I guess that's true. But
listen, if I had to pick my choices, we've had this before. I think I could get a couple yards.
I guarantee you can.
I think you hand me the ball.
Nope.
I think I could get a couple yards. I don't know how many. Every time I look at 10 yards, I go, that's a lot of yards.
It's 30 feet. It's a lot of yards. Here's the thing is, when you get the handoff, you still have to go a couple yards just to get to the line of scrimmage.
I do, but I'm hoping that the guys up front do something. Don't make me have to make a move, because if I have to make a move, it's over.
Oh yeah, what you have to hope for, or you need to do yourself, is to last Boy Scout it.
Just pull a gun out.
That's the only way you're getting a few yards.
Nobody tackle me.
You just start shooting people to get your few yards, and then you turn yourself in. I guess, I don't know. That's about it. That's your only chance. We are.
You know something? I apologize. I have to cut this off. I'm watching the Knicks about to lose, and it's killing me. I'm gonna cut it off.
You have
cut it off. Don't worry.
Cut off.
Don't cut it off. They were up by 30 when I cut it off. When I cut it off.
That's rough. Who are they playing?
They're playing the Memphis Grizzlies. And I turned it on. They were up by 10 with 3 minutes left to go. It's now 3. With a minute and something 6 to go. Yeah. I can't watch.
Turn it off.
I'll figure it out at the end. I'll figure it out at the end. Yeah.
All right. So that happened. What do we need to talk about? We need to talk about.
There's a football game coming on. We'll leave that.
Game.
There's a football game coming. We can leave that. But there is okay, I have to ask, because me and you had a conversation. How do you feel about the Pro Bowl?
I've never cared about the Pro Bowl in any capacity.
Okay.
I like
And sorry. Let me ask a better question. Where does it rank in your term of all-star games?
Bottom.
It has to.
Absolute bottom.
It has to.
For me, it goes baseball, basketball, hockey, and then
I think for me it's basketball, then baseball. Because baseball has the home run derby, right? And the game.
Yes.
Besides that, I don't know what else they have.
I always thought the game was the good part about baseball.
Because baseball is being played at a high level.
But now I will say this. I enjoyed the baseball All-Star game better when everybody wore their individual uniforms,
Uniforms.
as opposed to like a National League uniform and an American League uniform.
See, indifferent to that in the NBA. I don't want you wearing your like they used to do. I want you wearing a team uniform. I don't like the everyone wears their uniform.
Well, that's because I think in basketball, not everybody has home whites. Like, right? Don't the Lakers? No, the Lakers have purple and they have home whites.
Yeah, they have.
Does everybody have a home white uniform in basketball, or is there a team that has like just a light color that isn't white as a home?
Every time I have in my head, I see a white jersey version for everyone's uniform. I'm trying to think. Golden State Warriors have one. Rockets, San Antonio has the white and blacks. Dallas may not now, but they used to.
So you don't even have to wear a home white. You can designate.
Yeah, which one you want to wear,
and then the other team has to have enough contrast. I don't know. Like, there's just something about baseball where they're all out there, like everybody's wearing their home whites and they're all out there running together. There's something about it. I like it. They don't do it anymore, though.
But to me, it's just you got the home run derby, great, and then you have the game. That's All-Star Weekend for the most.
Well, you know what? They also have the Futures game too.
Yeah, I don't really watch that.
Yeah,
I much rather watch. Yeah, I much rather watch like basketball has the 3-point competition.
Yes, which is the better
the
of the
slam dunk competition, which has gotten going down a little bit. The skills competition. It also has it used to be the freshman sophomore game. They keep changing that game around. I don't even know what it is. I think it's G Leaguers and rookies. I'm not even sure what the game is now. But then you have the game, which isn't quite high level basketball, but it's fun basketball. And baseball I get. Hockey I also get. I like it. Like I always thought their skills competition was probably better than all the other skills competitions.
Hockey has those like sharpshooting skills competitions and stuff. Like to me, those are really cool. You know.
Now football, the game, and like I said, I told you, I'm gonna get on my high horse. When Sean Taylor nearly killed that kicker in the All-Star game, that's prime. That's prime Pro Bowl. No one told Sean Taylor they were playing a Pro Bowl game. No one told him it was exhibition. He nearly ended that man. Then and I saw something that said that was the last time real football was played in the Pro Bowl. They couldn't have that happen ever again.
And that's why I never really watched it, because it was throwaway. It was they tackled, but they didn't. You know, like to me it was pointless. And you don't want your all-stars getting hurt, especially in a sport where injury is prevalent and some of those injuries last years, right? So you don't want that to happen.
Yet they have to have a whole week dedicated to it.
They don't. They don't have to. They don't have to play the game. I'm just more interested in who gets elected. Like there's more to the he's a Pro Bowler than there is to he played in a Pro Bowl game. Like I don't care about that.
No, but then take the fan voting out, because the fan voting is for who you want to see play in the game, right? Then does not give the fans a vote when trying to decide who's a Pro Bowler.
That's what All Pro is.
But All Pro is the best at that position.
Yes.
Right? They don't do that it's no All Pro East and West or All Pro AFC. That's just the best at that position. Right? So if that's what's going to be, I don't think the fans need a vote, because stuffing the ballot to get your guy in there does not mean he's great. it makes sense when it's a game that's going to be played and you want to see your guys.
Nobody watches that game though. Like
Nobody.
that's the problem. Like nobody
Just
watches it. So I mean, you can vote all you want because you're voting for your guy and you want to see your guy win, right? Everybody likes to be right. So
yes,
that's what that is, right? See, I told you my guy's a Pro Bowler. That's all. That's what it is.
Yeah, because you've been voting every 5 minutes. You got it on your phone.
You got a whole farm of laptops all running and voting. You know,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I don't care about the game. Shouldn't care about the game. Definitely don't care about the game. And I do not care about the skills competitions.
Wow, the skills competition used to be good though.
But they're fun-ish to watch. I'll tell you what I don't want to see. Dodgeball.
Oh no!
I don't want to see dodgeball. I don't
No.
want. I don't want to see. I do like the precision passing one because I think that's kind of cool. It's very video game-ish in a way. Did you see the long snapper one? I watched that where they're trying to the centers are trying to snap through a hole, right? Like, okay, great for points. That's fine. Okay. I thought this was interesting. It was like you had to hold on to several footballs and catch a punt.
And catch a punt.
And
yes, they've had that one for
keep holding them, which I think is interesting in a way, right? Like you got to do.
Last year they had it dropped from a drone.
Oh no! This year they're shooting from a jugs machine.
Yeah, they had a drone was taking it up there, dropping it. You had to catch it.
Yeah,
yeah.
Like so that's cool. But like best catch award where they're like jumping off of trampolines and like trying to flip and catch and dive into water and stuff. Do not care. The closest to the pin competition. Do not care, but I think it's funny.
This is golf. It's not even the same sport.
I think it's funny because these guys don't play golf, and they're just like, they're worse than I am, which maybe that's what it's there for. It's like, oh, I'm better at golf than you are. Don't care, though. Just don't care.
It could be better. Remember back in the day, the ABC Wild World of Sports challenges? What if they just did that with your best players? Like American Gladiators
obstacle course.
With NFL players. That'd be great.
That would be great. Or even like Ninja Warrior.
Yes. Just feats of strength so we can actually say, whoa. Like, not only is Tyreek Hill fast, he's pretty strong too. Yeah. Like stuff like that.
Strongman competition. That'd be fun. Like, oh,
that would be great.
Watching Myles Garrett carry a telephone pole. That'd be awesome.
So that would probably be more fun than what we're seeing.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to ask because it was this week and a week of no football. It was what was on, and
the NFC won apparently. I guess that's
they did when Eli Manning won again.
See, there you go. It's like your guy, right? I like being right. Yeah, I will cheer for the NFC and stuff. But I really don't care. Did
the Bears have a representative? Did
two.
They have anyone?
They had Montez Sweat and Jalen Johnson.
If you want to call Montez Sweat a Bear, well, I guess we'll call him one. We'll call him one.
All right.
Well, he was a half-season
Bear.
Did the
Giants have anybody there?
Dexter Lawrence, one guy.
If you want to call him a Giant, I guess.
He was there the whole season. Montez Sweat the Commanders probably represent him too. We got one.
No way. Commanders, they didn't have anybody, I don't think. I feel there should have been a couple other Bears that were there, but that's all right. I will say this though, and there is a legitimate Bears tax that exists if you're on the Bears when it comes to Pro Bowl recognition or All-Pro recognition. Roquan Smith existed on the Bears for 4 years. Played at a Pro Bowl level all 4 years. Never made a Pro Bowl. He got traded to the Ravens in his fifth year. And then he became a Pro Bowler and an All-Pro instantly. And in this year, Pro Bowler and All-Pro, he's vaunted as the greatest linebacker that's in the game right now, which is not true either because Fred Warner.
It's not true. He's
very, very good. I love Roquan Smith.
He's very good. And you knew he was good.
Yeah, I know. He's very, very good. I love Roquan Smith, but I just think there's a Bears tax that exists when you're on the Bears. Or take my guy DJ Moore from this year. He led. He had career totals in receptions, yards, and touchdowns. He had 1,370 receiving yards, I think, and 9
He had a
touchdowns.
really good
He had
year.
a really good year. Was not. And then even when
Alternates.
alternates, nope, not involved there either.
Mm.
So it's all. I mean, it is what it is. That's fine. I'll also say T.J. Edwards though too, middle linebacker uh, for the Bears, came from the Eagles, played for the
Buffalo.
Bears.
Just you put it for Buffalo,
That
right?
was
That's right.
Tremont Edmonds.
Tremont Edmonds.
And he had a
Okay.
good season too, but not a Pro Bowl season. T.J. Edwards had a Pro Bowl season. With like he had, I want to say he had 600 tackles.
He didn't make all pro with
No,
600 tackles.
he had like 600 tackles and like 14 interceptions and 2 fumble recoveries, something like that. It was like really high numbers. Higher numbers than a lot of the Pro Bowl linebackers that did make it, but they just
they vote him in. The fans get 1/3 of the vote,
I
so they
know.
got no stuff to ballot.
Exactly.
I think the players get a third. I think the media gets a third, and fans get a third.
Yeah, there's a lot of it is name, right? Name gets
definitely.
you even amongst players and coaches or whatever, you know.
And it's not a surprise that the Cowboys always have a large number of people. They have a large number of fans.
Yes, they do.
Right? So, like, you look at why are you there, Ferguson? Or like, whoever's there. Their kicker should have been there. CeeDee Lamb should have been there. Maybe in Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
That's probably about it.
Yeah.
And Micah Parsons. Yeah.
And Deron Bland was there.
And then Deron Bland. Maybe they should have had a few people there. Maybe they deserved
it. Had a lot of guys, right? That's fine. What can I say this though too? The winner of the quarterback accuracy competition was Baker Mayfield. There was a point where it was C.J. Stroud versus Baker Mayfield in the finals, but that you also had Gardner Minshew. It was a Pro Bowl quarterback, and he was a backup this year, and he will not be a starter next year, not in Indianapolis, unless of course Anthony Richardson gets hurt. You had Tua, and you had somebody else too. I can't remember who.
Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts on the NFC side. Geno Smith. Somebody else. Like it wasn't a world beater list of quarterback talent. And then then you don't get the Super Bowl guys, but whatever.
Yeah, but I don't care less about seeing Brock Purdy in that event.
Well, I don't know if Brock Purdy could throw the 60 yards to get it in there.
Now without it bouncing off of somebody else's hands.
Yeah, if you put Kendall Vildor down there, let it bounce off of his head, maybe. I don't know. I guess we got big thing coming up this week. Hall of Fame inductions are on Thursday during the awards presentation. Now we did the awards last week, but we have the Hall of Fame list. Let me pull up the list here. I don't know if you can read it.
Tough list. It's got some good people in it, I think.
Yeah, it does. Now there's no set number, but between 4 and 9 is what will be elected into the Hall of Fame. There's a few of them that are stars on there that are the senior additions or whatever. Pick one that you know for a fact will get in.
Ooh, that I know for a fact will get in?
Like if you were going to put money on it, pick one. I got my guy.
Oh, man.
I'll go down the list. Eric Allen, Jared Allen, Willie Anderson, Jari Evans, Dwight Freeney, Antonio Gates, Randy Gradishar, that's a senior guy, Rodney Harrison, Devin Hester, Torrey Holt, Andre Johnson, Steve McMichael, Buddy Parker, Julius Peppers, Art Powell, Fred Taylor, Reggie Wayne, Patrick Willis, and Darren Woodson.
If I had to, oh man,
just one.
One
that you know for a fact.
It's got to be Antonio Gates.
Antonio Gates is your.
That's
one?
gonna be.
Yeah.
When you talk about tight ends, you may not bring his name up as, but you look at his numbers, he's up there with them. He's up there with the Tony Gonzalez's. He's up there with the man, it's really just Tony. He's up there with the Gronkowskis. He's up there.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a very long career. I think he's one of the best tight ends to ever play the game. And for this list to say this, how many people are top 5 at their position all time? I would say he is a top 5. One of the few people that are on this list that I think are top 5 all time at their position.
At their position, I'm going to agree with you. 955 career receptions, 11,841 career yards, 116 touchdowns.
It's good.
Over
The list is going to change because, of course, you're going to have Travis Kelce that's going to break every record. You probably have, I don't think you're going to have Kittle in them do it, but Kelsey's definitely going to shatter every tight end record known to man. So it may push him down a little bit, but not that far.
8-time Pro Bowler, 3-time first All Pro. Let's see, 17th in career receptions, 31st in career yards from the tight end position, 7th in career receiving touchdowns from the tight end position. Yeah, I don't know.
Former basketball player.
Yeah, I don't know how you don't put him in. He was always one of my favorites.
Yes,
but it's his first year. Philip Rivers. You were never a big Phil. You didn't like Philip Rivers because of the Eli Manning thing.
I know. I just think that he had way too much talent to not go as far as he did. Like when you're talking about the list of people he had that played with him, you're like, we're talking about a Hall of Fame tight end, a Hall of Fame running back. Yeah. Like you talk about that talent to not get
and Philip Rivers will be a Hall of Fame quarterback too.
And he'll be a Hall of Fame quarterback. And they had wide receivers during that time. They may not have been Hall of Famers, but for him not to go that far, that's my only thing. That's why I don't hate Philip Rivers. I just think he never went that far.
Philip Rivers, and it is the Chargers are the greatest example every year of how much a team sport football is. How you have to be good in lots of different. I understand.
They have the talent everywhere.
And the year they went to AFC Championship, who did they lose to?
Was it the Colts or was it it was either the Colts Brady. Or the Tom Brady?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Right? Like it's a lot like playing in the 90s in the NBA in the East. Right? Like you there was the 6 years that Jordan won a championship.
It's not comparable because guess what? Nobody was beating Jordan.
I know.
Tom was losing.
Oh, I know.
Tom did lose.
Lost 2 times to Eli Manning. I know.
Not just that. There's times where they didn't even make it there.
I understand.
Oakland beat them. Like Oakland made it there. The Colts made it sometimes. Denver made. It wasn't like they won every single year. The Pittsburgh Steelers made it. The Ravens made it. There's so many teams that made it. You know who teams didn't make it?
The Chargers.
Yeah. You see what I'm saying?
I get that, but only one team can make it every year, and the goddamn Tampa Brady's, the New England Tom Brady's went 9 times, 8 times.
They went a lot.
That's a lot. Peyton Manning's.
It is.
Peyton Manning's went 3 times. Once with the Colts, twice with the Broncos, right?
Twice with the Colts.
Did they lose?
They lost to the Saints.
Oh,
and they lost to they beat y'all, the Bears.
Yeah. So they went several times. The Ben Roethlisbergers went twice, right? Yep. So it wasn't like
Flacco went once.
Yeah, that's an anomaly.
I'm just saying there were teams
happened
in
one
there.
time. Like,
definitely.
But if you were to pull up the list of starting quarterbacks in the Super Bowl during that span, you see the same names a lot, mostly on the AFC side.
Yes, that's true. But if you're going to call him a great, and you give him great talent around him, shouldn't he at least have made it to the game?
There's lots of guys that don't make it to the game that are great.
Ooh.
Dan Marino?
Never made it. He made it.
Yeah.
We're talking never made it.
Oh, well, wrong list. Wrong window. I'm going to try to I was going to Google great quarterbacks that never made the Super Bowl. Great quarterbacks that never made it to the Super Bowl.
Phil Rivers' name is on that list. Probably number
Warren
one.
Moon. That's the first one that pops up.
Warren is a tough one. Yeah. Yeah, he's great too.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about his greatness. But I don't think he ever got a team as good as any of the Philip Rivers teams.
Yeah. You know, it stinks. I'm looking at the list, and most everybody on here that Philip Rivers is number 4 on the list here from CBS. He didn't make it. Jim Kelly's number 3, but he went like 100 times.
Yeah.
Fran Tarkenton.
Didn't he go with the Rams? Not the Rams, with the Vikings?
Yeah, maybe the Vikings never won.
Yes.
But made it to 3 Super Bowls and lost every single one of them.
Yes.
And then Dan Marino.
That's what I'm saying. Of all that list that you said, Warren never made it to a Super Bowl, and Philip Rivers never made it to a Super Bowl.
Yeah. Well, that's only 10. I'm sure if you extended the list a little bit longer, you might get others. I don't know.
That's just my thing, and he had the talent around him. That you talk about a team game. He had a team.
He had a team right? Him. But
wasn't it Marty Schottenheimer? Wasn't he the coach at the time?
Yeah.
Oh, Marty.
I don't know.
I'm just saying. I don't deny his talent.
Antonio Gates is definitely a Hall of Famer.
Yes, that's where we're at with this.
Hopefully he's there. I have my homer pick, which is Devin Hester. I don't know how.
That's not your home, just the homer pick. He should be there.
But yes, but when we're talking about greatest at the position, he is the greatest kick returner to ever play the game.
Yes,
he's the reason rules changed for a lot of kick returning rules.
No, he's if you're gonna have a special teamer in there now,
yeah,
it's got to start with him and maybe end with him. Some people will talk about, remember when D'Angelo Hall had that season where he was going crazy? Devin Hester did it for a career.
Whole career, yeah.
It's not one season where he was going crazy. He did it for his whole career.
All right. So that's I feel like he should have gone last year. This is his 3rd time being a finalist. I think he needs to be in this time. If he's not, then that's a real shame. But I'm going to do let's pick one more each. I don't know if he'll make it, but this time, I think Julius Peppers deserves a chance, deserves a spot in the Hall of Fame.
Being his first time going, I don't think they'll give it to him, but maybe. I like Julius Peppers. But if I had to pick one, if I have to pick my number 2, we said Devin Hester. My number 3, I'm going to say Andre Johnson.
Yeah. He had a really nice career, too, with Houston. Lots of numbers.
Really short. Yeah, pretty short. But when he was there, it was explosive.
I'd say the same thing about Fred Taylor. Fred Taylor's the guy that might need to be there, too.
Yeah.
I'm going to pull up his stats.
Patrick Willis's career was explosive but short. Darren Woodson is a good one.
See, now Darren Woodson's a name that I didn't realize he wasn't in the Hall of Fame already.
Yes.
Which I was like surprised. I was like, really? Fred Taylor, 153 games, 11,695 rushing yards, 66
Where does he
touchdowns.
rank all time in rushing? That's when it comes to running backs, that's how I got to put you in there.
Yeah, it's hard.
I got to look at the list.
But you got to realize who he played for, though, too.
Yeah, those Jags were not good.
He's 17th all time in rushing yards.
Oh, that's like right there with Tiki Barber's at.
Yeah, 25th all time in rushing attempts, 42nd all time in rushing touchdowns.
Can't do it. I can't do it.
That's kind of where I'm at now. Like at first, I was like, it's got to be Fred Taylor, right? Wait a minute, what's his all-purpose yards rank?
Well, I'm looking at
in all-purpose yards.
When you look at the list, because I always look at who's there around that area. You've got Fred Taylor at 17. You got OJ at 21, but we know OJ's career was what, 6 seasons?
Yeah, cut short, cut off in his prime.
If you crack that top 10 list, in my opinion, you're a Hall of Famer.
Well, let's start at the top. Emmitt Smith, Hall of Famer. Walter Payton, Hall of
Yes.
Famer. Frank Gore will be a Hall
Yet
of
to
Famer.
be seen. I think he is.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't had 5 years yet. Barry Sanders, Hall of Famer. Adrian Peterson hasn't been there yet.
Hasn't been there.
Curtis Martin, Hall of Famer.
Hall of Famer.
LT, Hall of Famer. Jerome Bettis, Hall of Famer. Eric Dickerson, Hall of Famer. Tony Dorsett, Hall of Famer. Jim Brown, Hall of Famer. Marshall Faulk, Hall of Famer. Edgerrin James, Hall of Famer. Marcus Allen,
I believe so.
Franco Harris, Hall of Famer. Thurman Thomas, Hall of Famer. Then number 17 is Fred Taylor.
Oh, does this become the cutoff line then? That's the question.
There's nobody active above him.
No one.
Nobody.
Nope.
Now, Steven Jackson, he's right below him.
Yeah.
At number 18.
You'd have to play a whole another 2 seasons. No one's going to put Steven Jackson on their team. I think he's like our age.
Yeah, he retired in 2015.
Yeah, so no one's good. So he's good.
John Riggins, number 19, and he's in the Hall of Fame, but was probably elected in the 80s before half these guys were even born.
Yeah, before when he was in the top 10 still.
But then below that, you have Corey Dillon.
He's not going to get in.
He's not going to get in. Then O.J. Simpson, who is in.
Who's in?
But then you have Shady McCoy, won't.
Warwick Dunn.
Warwick Dunn should, because
as a humanitarian, as just being a good person, as just being a great person.
Being a great person and a great running back, and he was on terrible teams. Those Tampa Bay teams.
He won the Super Bowl.
Well, but he was also on terrible teams too.
They weren't an offensive team. That team that won the Super Bowl didn't win because they were an offensive juggernaut.
I mean, he played for 11 seasons, 12 seasons. Ricky Waters, Jamal Lewis, these guys. None of these guys are even active. Thomas Jones, Tiki Barber at 27, Eddie George, Marshawn Lynch, Otis Anderson, Ricky Williams, Clinton Portis, Matt Forte, Joe Perry, Chris Johnson. Then you get to number 36 as Derrick Henry's the first active running back. Running back position has changed, though, too.
They catch two more.
You just don't get the number of touches. Football's changed, right? So it's a lot like starting pitchers in baseball. No one's going to get 300 wins anymore.
Yeah, but you still got guys getting. They added another game. 1,000 yards used to be big. 1,000 yards. If you can't get 1,000 yards, you really had a bad season.
Kind of.
You know what I mean? 1,000 yards used to be a thing when there was 14 games to play. O.J. Simpson didn't have a year under 1,000 yards, I think, but they only played, I think, 12 games a season when he.
Yeah. Well,
that's a feat when you get to 12,000 with only 12 games, or 1,000 with 12 games. Now there's 17 games. You average 75 yards a game. You had 1,000.
Yeah.
So, but you would think that the numbers should go higher because they have more games.
But the position's done by committee now. There's not teams do not have feature backs like they used to.
But the league leader in rushing this year, all of them. League leading rushers.
Christian McCaffrey, right? 1,300.
Yeah, it's got to be Christian McCaffrey, but I'm pretty sure there's other people on that.
But like
list.
1,300 yards is what leads it now.
13? That was it?
Yeah. I don't think.
Christian McCaffrey is that all purpose? Is 1,459. But then the next person is Derrick Henry with 1,100.
Yeah.
Kyron Williams had 1,100 with 12 games played. Yeah, no, it's a tough list.
Yeah. So 1,459 is what he had.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,
which is
11,
his
12
career
people
high.
with 1,000 yards. 12 people had 1,000 yards this year.
Yeah, but there's nobody broke 1,500. No 1,700 yard rushers. Nobody's sniffing around 2,000. There's
2,000.
There's more receivers sniffing around 2,000 than there are
you're right.
running backs.
That's correct.
Right, so I think the running back position has changed, but that not when Fred Taylor played. So maybe Fred Taylor is the cutoff until you get.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, Fred Taylor. Because everyone above him is a Hall of Famer.
I think if Fred Taylor hit 12,000, he would be in.
He's gonna have to. I think he'd have to get in with a light class.
Yeah,
but they'd have to get some of the people above him out of here before they did that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. Like there's no rule that says you have to put him in the Hall of Fame.
There isn't, but he wants to be there.
Oh yeah, who wouldn't? And if he's the
And
cutoff,
you look at it, yeah, if he doesn't get in, he is the cutoff.
yeah. And then there'll be in the future like a guy like Derrick Henry will get in with less yards, and then every Fred Taylor truther will be out there. Well, look what Fred Taylor did. The game's different.
Yeah. That's what I said. Listen,
Man, there's
I've always
no
told people
active rushers. There's
close,
barely
even
any in the
close.
top 100. Derrick Henry, Ezekiel Elliott at 40. Then you scroll down. The next one isn't till Latavius Murray at 77. Melvin Gordon. Those guys are practice squad guys that get pulled up.
Yeah.
Now, Nick Chubb at 81. Joe Mixon at 82. Dalvin Cook, who's at the end of his career probably, after only playing 5 seasons. Christian McCaffrey, who just played the same number of seasons, is number 90, right behind him. And that's it for the top 100 and rushers. Those are only actives, which is insane in my opinion.
It is. Because think of it like this. To get to Adrian Peterson's number, which is 1419, 14,000, almost 15,000, you'd have to have 15 seasons. You think there's going to be a running back with 15 seasons?
No, none of them will.
15 seasons? Yeah.
Not happening.
To get to Fred Taylor, you got to have 12 seasons.
Yes.
They're going to be a running back with 12 seasons.
Nope.
Then this is it. This is it. There will be no running backs in the Hall of Fame for a while. They're gonna have to get CMC in there. Just if he wins now, he's gonna have to find a way to get in. But his rushing numbers aren't gonna be how he gets in.
It's all-purpose yardage. If you look at the top 140 rushers all time, 134 is Russell Wilson, 137 is Lamar Jackson, and 140 is Saquon Barkley.
Russell Wilson and Lamar Jackson have more rushing yards than Saquon Barkley. Is that what you're telling me?
That wasn't like a dig at Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, but no, that's what you're telling me.
That's what I'm telling you, yes.
It's rough.
But those are leading rushers. Those are active rushers in the top 140, top 150. That's it. Like, there's nobody that's rushed more than Billy Sims or Dexter Bussey. Dexter Bussey played from 1974 to 1984 for the Detroit Lions. And no one,
10 years.
No one said that name until now for the last 20 years. Probably not even his wife. Oh, well.
So, but we know Devin Hester's your one that, like, if you had to pick one, let's say let him in, that'd be it. Like, if you had an automatic
only
pick,
had one, it'd be
one pick. That's the
Devin Hester. Except for if I knew for a fact Devin Hester was going to get in, then I would probably pick Julius Peppers.
I like Julius Peppers. I also like Dwight Freeney.
Yeah, he was always really good for the Colts.
Yep. You got Reggie Wayne from that Colts team, Dwight Freeney from that Colts team on this list.
Yeah. And then I guess Oh, go ahead.
I think we argued about this before, and I said I think Torrey Holt needs to be in there.
Mm-hmm.
This is his 5th year trying to get in.
It's always tough for receivers to get in, too.
It is very tough for receivers to get in. There was that log jam for a minute, but they cleared a lot of that. And I think now that it's clear, on this list alone, you have Devin Hester, if you want to count him as a wide receiver. Let's not. Let's count him as a special teamer.
Yes.
Torrey Holt, Andre Johnson, Reggie Wayne are the 3 wide receivers on this list. Right? That's tough. That's tough right there. Because like I said, I already said I'd give DeAndre Johnson as the better one of my favorite wide receiver of all those 3. And then would probably be Reggie Wayne, and then would be Torrey Holt. So it stinks for Torrey Holt.
Stinks for Torrey Holt. Plus he was second fiddle on that team. I think Isaac Bruce was the...
I think his numbers were. I think we looked at that. I think his numbers were still good though.
Yeah. Oh, they were. They were very good, right?
They were short though.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, his career wasn't as long as I thought it was.
Yeah. In
terms of how long he was producing at a high level.
Yeah.
13,000 yards, 74 TDs. That's not bad.
Yeah, the touchdown numbers.
No, that's a lie. That's a lie. 2000, he had 1,600 passing receiving yards in 2 seasons. He's got numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just He was really good.
Mhm. The
Like,
Greatest Show on Turf was a really good team.
yeah, but he was only they won in what 99?
Mm-hmm.
He was a rookie.
Yeah, well,
That wasn't even his best year. His next year, he came back with 1,600 yards.
yeah.
Man, maybe I'm missing something. Maybe he was better than I thought he was.
I don't know. I I used to think that it was like insane that Chris Carter wasn't in the Hall of Fame for the longest time,
Mhm.
and then he finally got in, and now it's like I don't have that same guy.
That person,
Yeah,
yeah.
like Steve Smith is the guy that I think should be in the Hall of Fame when he gets that opportunity, but his numbers probably aren't there with it.
I don't think so.
Not with like some of their guys. But then you got to remember what team he was on and who was throwing the ball to him. It makes it tough.
Yeah.
Oh well, I don't know. Well, I guess we got to talk
This,
about
this week,
the big game, right?
yeah,
The one that everyone's talking about. Um,
a little.
yeah, I've heard good things. It's the Super Bowl featuring the San Francisco 49ers are still 1.5 point favorites over the Kansas City Chiefs in Las Vegas. Apparently, the Kansas City Chiefs have to practice at the UNLV Stadium. Where,
And apparently they complained this
or
field
no,
was too soft.
the 49ers are practicing at the UNLV Stadium.
That's one thing didn't realize. I need to figure out is it determined who gets home and who gets away?
I don't know. This is alternate years. I really couldn't.
I
tell you.
guess. Yeah.
Remember the World Series used to alternate years, and that was
Until
fine.
they decide the All-Star game.
Which is like the dumbest thing ever. Maybe that knocks down. Maybe the
I
NBA
like
goes.
it.
I don't like it because
It makes the game reason to play.
it makes. But it's yeah. But
And it's the one sport where they can actually play a full game.
I
And you're
understand
seeing
that,
the
but I
best
mean-
people do it.
But why that? Why is it why isn't it the better team like every other sport on the face of the earth has home field advantage? Especially when you're not playing a neutral site, right? Hockey
Yeah.
plays at home stadiums, basketball plays at home stadiums,
Correct.
baseball plays at
Correct.
home stadiums.
You're right. You're right.
It should be the best team, the best record. Should have.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be that because then it might as well be just a coin toss.
But I could see that before interleague play was a thing. Because you could maybe you're in a conference that's a league that's not that good this year, and you just racked up 100 and something wins against a bunch of
Doesn't mean you make the World Series though. You're not automatically there because remember.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. But your record is inflated because of it.
Potentially. Remember that Mariners team that won like 120 games and they got bounced by
Yep.
the Yankees? The Yankees
Yep.
are really good. Mariners were kind of what you just said.
Yeah.
I don't know. All right. So I think the 49ers are the home team, I think. But the Chiefs
No.
Oh, the Chiefs are the home team?
Chiefs are the home team. That's why the Chiefs get to practice
Oh.
at the actual stadium, Oakland Raiders Stadium, and the 49ers are the away team practicing at UNLV.
All right. So I'm gonna Google how do they determine who is the home team for Super Bowl. But the autocorrect is how do they determine when Easter is the first one.
Oh, okay.
Determine who is the home team in the Super Bowl. The answer is how is the home team chosen in the Super Bowl? There's nothing fancy about the home team determination for Super Bowl. It alternates each year
Oh.
from
Okay.
AFC to NFC. All I know is if you're so I guess the Chiefs get to choose which jersey they're wearing. I think they chose the red jersey.
Okay.
So that makes the holding calls easier to call if you're wearing white gloves, right? So I think that's how it
Yep.
goes. I don't know. What are you looking forward to in this game, if anything, Harland?
Oh man. I don't know. I think I'm my pick just started out there is the 49ers.
Yes.
So I want to see them give a very healthy dose of Christian McCaffrey.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get fancy with it. Don't sugarcoat it. I want 30 carries from that man, and I want an old school run it down your throat. Cause yeah, I don't think they have enough talent on defense to stop that. I don't. I don't let Brock Purdy be the game manager that everyone calls that says that he is, and just put the ball in Christian McCaffrey's hands and let him work. But I'm also interested if I say that at what halftime adjustments Andy Reid makes because he's been notorious for making the right adjustments at halftime to get his team the victory.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I'm gonna be real honest. I do not care about this game one bit. I'll watch it. I'll watch it, and the kids will go, "Who do you want to win?" I'm like, it doesn't matter. I'll tell you who I think is going to win, and it's Kansas City because I cannot bet against Patrick Mahomes in any way. I just can't do it. I just cannot say someone's going to beat Mahomes. Now, I think Mahomes is beatable. I don't think the Chiefs are like the best team in football.
Juggernauts. No.
But I just, when it comes down to it, I think there's one of a few possible outcomes. Well, obviously there's two outcomes. But I think there's paths to that outcome. I think there's the chance where Mahomes just goes insano, and
I don't think that's one of them.
And the receivers decide to catch passes. I think that's
the reason why I don't think that was the good one because it requires other people.
Or by insano, it could be, there's Patrick Mahomes. He bounced it off his helmet 40 yards downfield, and Travis Kelce to a wide open Travis Kelce, something like that, right? Or he jumped in the air and did a 720 and threw it down, like those sorts of plays, the insano plays. I think the more likely is it's a defensive struggle or battle back and forth, and I think
I don't think it has to be a defensive struggle. I think that the better defensive team is the 49ers. I think the better offensive team is the 49ers. I just don't see but the funny thing is, I said that exact words when the Ravens played when the Ravens played the Chiefs. I said that exact same thing.
I think there's an argument to be made that the Kansas City defense is better than the 49ers defense.
No way. Not with Bosa and Nick Young. No way. Chris Jones is not equal both those
He's
guys.
only one guy on that team.
Exactly. He's the only guy on that defense.
No, I don't know about that. I bet you if you pulled up the numbers, Kansas City had just as good, if not better, defense. Kansas City Chiefs 2024 defensive stats.
I think I saw this that the San Francisco 49ers I think was third all season, maybe second in offense.
Mm-hmm.
The Kansas City Chiefs was like 15th.
In offense?
In offense, they averaged like 19 points a game. Not even 20 points. Might have been 19 or 20 points a game. While the it was like 29 points a game for the San Francisco 49ers. I'm like, and then their defense was among the best in the league as well.
All right, so let's go over the Chiefs stats right now. You want to do offense or defense first?
Start defense.
Defense held opponents 21.41 points per game.
Mm-hmm.
Time of possession was 29 minutes. They held opponents to 368 yards per game. And 117 rushing.
That's a lot.
They had 29 takeaways. Opponent red zone attempts 56. Opponent red zone conversions 32. It's closer to 50%. That's kind of what you want, right? I don't have the exact numbers in front of me. Third down, I think, is a big one. Let's see the third down on here. No, they don't. Yeah, so there's those. Offensively speaking, they were averaged 28.24 points a game, almost 32 minutes a game possession, rushed 115 yards a game, almost had 400 yards per game of offense, 25 giveaways, and a lot of those were were weird interceptions bouncing off of hands and stuff. Converted on 41 of 68 red zone attempts. All right. Now we need to see the 49ers. Oh,
That was the Kansas City Chiefs. You
that
just
was
did
the
over the
Kansas City
49ers.
Chiefs. Yes.
According to this, they were 2 in the league in defense.
Yes, they were really good.
I didn't know they were second in the league in defense. They gave up more rushes. They gave up a lot of rushing, but they were stingy in the pass.
Mm-hmm. They were good. Let's see. Where am I looking? How am I finding this? Let's see. San Francisco 49ers 2024 defensive stats.
They were right behind them.
All right. So offensively, here's the 49ers offense. They scored 25 points a game. They held the ball for 31 minutes, 375 yards passing, or 375 yards of offense, 127 yards rushing, 24 giveaways, converted on 36 of 54 trips to the red zone. On defense, they held opponents to 21.5 points a game, 103 yards rushing. They had 24 takeaways, and they held opponents to 34 of 60 red zone attempts converted. I don't know. I think Kansas City has a really good defense. I think San Francisco has a nice offense. I think Kansas City has a nice offense. And if you were to say, if it comes down to Patrick Mahomes versus Brock Purdy, I think Patrick Mahomes wins, right?
Don't say that. Yeah.
So I think there's a possible outcome where Patrick Mahomes goes nuts and does some insano, and everybody's like, "Oh, he's the greatest of all time," which he could arguably be that. I think there's a path of victory for either team where it is just a defensive battle, and it comes down to it's like one of those where the MVP is like, here's a defensive player that will never be anything again. Caught an interception.
Yeah, he caught two, took one to the house,
and score or something like that, right?
I love those guys.
I think the San Francisco paths of victory can be one of two. One is yours, where they just control the ball and Christian McCaffrey runs for a couple hundred yards, and it has to be a couple hundred yards, I think. It's because they just have to control the ball that much.
Yes.
Or there's the absolute crazy path to victory.
Brock Purdy goes off.
Brock Purdy goes nuts, like 500 yards passing. Like I kind of want to see that happen.
If that happens, he will be anointed.
I kind of want that to happen. I kind of want it to happen.
Have you seen that 49ers fans are basically subsidizing his house?
No, I didn't see that.
Because he doesn't make, as being the last pick in the draft after taxes, I think they made like 100-something thousand, something,
which isn't enough to live in San Francisco. Yes,
it wasn't enough to live in. They said he was gonna have to move, and he was currently living close to the stadium, so they did like a GoFundMe for Brock Purdy's rent. Something crazy like that.
See, I think that's got to be illegal or something like that. Not like against the law,
against some CBA, or something?
but against the salary cap rules. There's got to be something that says that can't happen, because who's to keep the 49ers from donating
to
$1 million to it, right? You know, like, I don't know.
But yeah, they're like, listen, man, this guy's taking us to the Super Bowl, but he can't afford his rent. We'll help him out a little bit. Can anyone do a GoFundMe though? Yeah. Anyone can just go and do a GoFundMe. Yeah. So
now, if Brock Purdy wins the Super Bowl,
he's going to Disney World, first of all.
He's going to Disney World for sure. San Francisco has to give him a better contract, right? I mean, They don't have to. They could totally.
They got one more year.
They could go one more year and let it happen. But they could give him an extension. They could say, all right, here's a 5-year deal with signing bonus that puts cash in his pocket after the season. They would have to do that, wouldn't they?
Absolutely have to.
You'd have to.
They have to do that to me, in my opinion, anytime. You don't want him to go to free agency.
No.
Or come close to free agency, which being the last pick, they've only got him, for one more year?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you don't want him going into the last year, because franchising him is not an option. and you don't want him. You don't want him on that open market. So you kind of got to pay him, and you kind of got to hope he doesn't win the Super Bowl, right? So you can lowball
But
him
you
a
want to
little
win the
bit.
Super Bowl. You can't not
Want to win the Super Bowl. But let's say he comes to you as a Super Bowl winning quarterback, right?
Uh-huh.
What did you pay him?
I don't know. I don't know what they pay him.
Lamar Jackson numbers?
That's the thing. Like they would have.
What do you pay him?
I don't know. I don't think you could.
You go from $100,000 to
$100 million?
$275 million.
I don't think you could logically pay him that, but I think you kind of are stuck. You
have no
have to
choice.
pay him, right?
You kind of, like I said, that's why you don't. You kind of, if you're the GM, you're like, all right, well, let's not get too happy with this, because he's gonna want that kind of money. If there's it doesn't go down. And he's got a Super Bowl championship to back those numbers up. Something that your boy in Bengals guy doesn't have.
No. Joe
Herbert doesn't have one.
Nope.
Lawrence doesn't have one. Allen doesn't have one. Lamar doesn't have one. Hurts doesn't have one. These are the guys that just all got paid. It would be difficult to not pay that man.
The minimal bar that has to be cleared is 4 years, $160 million.
He will make that in his sleep. If they could get him for 4 years, 160 million, the Daniel Jones money,
Yes.
in a second, I'd sign him today. If they would allow me to sign him before the Super Bowl for 4 years, 160, I'd sign him.
But
for
that's
4
like the
years,
bare
160.
minimum. Like that's you have to clear, because it's so weird, because he's been very good. His numbers are very good. They win when he plays. Would he be as good somewhere else? Probably not. But
do you want to take that chance?
You have him, and he's really good now. But is he going to be just as good in 5 years?
If you keep the same people around him, who knows?
Who knows? He might be. He might get
And
better.
he might get better. That's the scary thing. He might get better to where there's going to be some lean years where you can't afford to pay people. If you allow him to grow in that system, he may get better to where he can actually start winning games without the talent that he has around him. He's still very young.
Yes, he is.
And let's say, I think if I'm his agent, if I pick up the phone and I go, hey, this is Purdy's agent, and they go 4 years, 160 million, click, I hang up.
For sure.
I don't need to hear anymore.
For sure. But like,
I don't need to hear.
I'm just saying, there's like a bare minimum. Like, it's not. Yeah. It's going to be more than that. It's got to be more than that.
It's got to have a 2 at the beginning of the number.
But you hear that number. I mean, that's a shit ton of money. It's $40 million a year. But
think of it this way. I would think of it like this way. I'm gonna pay him for this. I had 2 years of him making nothing. Right.
Yeah.
And in those 2 years that he made nothing, we got to an NFC championship game and a Super Bowl. Right. Like, I would count that as part of it. Yes, it's a 5-year, $200 million year, but think of it was 7 years, $200 million.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I'd have to throw those other 2 years where we got him for practically nothing in it. Because it has to start with the 2. It has to.
Lamar's
because Hurts.
Oh, go ahead.
Hurts did not have he had a great year. It was almost an MVP caliber year, and then he took them to the championship, and they didn't make it. It would be almost equivalent to the year that Brock Purdy had. Brock Purdy was almost an MVP this year. He was taking them to the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. You have to start at Jalen Hurts' number, if nothing else.
Lamar is 5'260".
Yep.
Jalen Hurts is like 5'250", right?
Yep. Herbert got paid
5'255".
And they said that Patrick Mahomes may be renegotiating his deal.
Yeah, remember when he signed that
10-year, $500 million?
Yeah.
Yep.
Herbert's 5'262 and a half.
Not even a playoff, not even much playoff. That's where you're gonna get hurt, because he's on talent and you're on wins. Like you are Purdy, and you're saying I competed at the highest level. could have been an MVP. And
Burrow's 5'2", 275.
took him to the Super Bowl.
Took him to the Super Bowl.
High pick though.
Been hurt. Been hurt 2 of the 5 years of his contract of his NFL career so far.
Those high picks, they kind of warrant that, and it's going to be a tough fight for his agent. But I think his agent got ground to stand on, because especially if they win the Super Bowl. And now Brock Purdy is now living off of endorsement money, because he probably doesn't have the super endorsements that he could have. But once he says, I'm going to Disney World, the endorsements are coming in. He could live off that. He could take another year where they don't sign him, where they don't extend him, because now he's got money coming in from endorsements. He's got all this other money. He takes another year making chump change money, and then see what they do when he becomes either unrestricted free agent or they got to franchise tag him for $55 million.
Yeah. You know who else is up for an extension this year? Who has played his 5 years?
Dak Prescott?
Tua Tagovailoa.
Oh, that's a tough one.
What do you do with him?
You give him Geno Smith money and you tell him to shut up? You give him. He's in the 200s, because I think now all of them are starting in the 200s probably. But I don't think he's in the 250s. He's probably 200s, above Daniel Jones, but maybe 5 years, 220. 5 years, 220 sounds about right.
Tua, this is his 5th year of his rookie deal.
You don't want to franchise a quarterback. Just don't do it.
No, you do not want to do that.
Just don't do that.
But Tua threw for 4,600 yards and 29 touchdowns this last year with a 101.1 rating.
Yeah.
He threw for 3,500 yards last year, but he got hurt.
Mm-hmm. He's good. Like I said, he thinks he should be in the 200s. Probably not to. I said 5 years, 220, 5 years, 230. Coming under Hurts, coming under the people who've had more playoff success.
Oh, but by Justin
the only
Herbert.
person on. That's the only one on that list.
Man.
That I don't know. You're giving him that on potential. You know how I feel about him. Yeah. I wouldn't have given him that, but whatever.
You know,
the other people who have had.
Oh, go ahead.
No, the other people who've had playoff success. I'm rewarding the playoff success that they've had.
Trevor Lawrence is entering his 4th year of his rookie contract, which allows him to negotiate,
and they need to negotiate right now. They should do it right now. You should never wait till the 5th year.
What do you give him?
He's a number 1 pick, so that stinks. That stinks. Him being a number 1 pick, it does hurt you in this.
He's won a playoff game.
Yep. You got to pay him up the top. You got to pay him up there.
He's been a good quarterback. I know how you feel about Trevor Lawrence, but I think his advanced.
Do you see a future with him?
Yes, not with that team.
It's
currently
not the construction of the team.
And I don't like Doug Peterson. I know you like Doug Peterson. I don't think he's a very good coach. But I don't know. He's a bit of a turnover machine too. Here's the thing about quarterbacks and rookie deals. A lot of them don't get extensions, but this last batch has done pretty well, but there's a lot of them that don't. Trevor Lawrence should. I don't know.
He should.
I don't know why the Jags.
He's playing well enough on that team to get an extension. The problem is, as an agent, you're going to want top dollar for your number 1 rated quarterback. If you want us, you've got to pay to keep us.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how you do it. Until otherwise, can you do better without me? The answer is no. And every quarterback out there who knows it. And like I said, I think Dak Prescott's going to get re-signed this year, and who knows what his money is going to be. It's going to be stupid.
Yeah.
But
Dak hasn't taken the Cowboys to the Super Bowl.
Nope.
He has not. He's only won a handful of playoff games.
One.
Just one
or two. Maybe I think it might. I think it's one. I think it might be 2 and 5.
They've never gone to an NFC Championship game.
Never.
I mean, the Cowboys as a franchise haven't gone since the '90s, but Dak hasn't led to one. Dak
but
is
what do you
Dak
do
is
though?
Dak is really good. Dak's a really good quarterback. Like I take him.
What do you do? What do you do? What do you what do you
That's the
do?
thing. So there are how many? There's probably a minimum 20 teams that would take Dak right now as opposed to their normal quarterback. Like if it was just a straight up swap, yeah, take Dak Prescott right now.
Yep.
Same thing. Would that same number of teams take Brock Purdy?
I think they can get him for less than Dak Prescott.
But like so if 31 teams were was announced, the NFL made a rule. All right, 31 teams that aren't the 49ers, you can swap your quarterback for Brock Purdy. How many of those 31 teams would go, all right?
Oh, the bottom half.
You think bottom 15? Maybe?
I think maybe even the bottom 20.
The bottom 20. So the top 10. So
not the bottom 20. Sorry, 20 to 32 would take them. I think the top 20. I think the top 19 probably are okay with what they have, and that sounds like a lot.
Purdy's been really good though.
He has, but how many of them think he's a system quarterback? He is good in that system.
He's a system quarterback.
That's what I'm saying. So if you think that you can't mimic the system that he's in, then you don't do it. Where how many people think Dak Prescott's a system quarterback, or they think Dak Prescott's just a
system quarterback? I think
exactly. You think he's just he's a great quarterback. Yeah. So I think there are more people who would swap their quarterback as is right now for Dak Prescott than as is right now for Brock Purdy.
How many teams would take Kirk Cousins?
Oof, probably the same. I can't sign him long term.
No,
that's the problem.
But I mean,
I can't sign.
Let's say
for a rental, a 2-year rental, like I got.
It's 3 years, no matter what you do. 3 years for Dak, 3 years for Kirk, 3 years for Brock Purdy. But for 3 years, he's your starter.
In that order, I have to take the veteran. So it's got to go Dak, then it's got to go Kirk, then it's got to go Purdy.
What about Tua?
I'm taking Purdy before I take Tua.
That's wild.
But
I think they're very similar quarterbacks, though. But I think Tua's better accuracy-wise. And
the reason why I'm taking Purdy, he's shown above all of those others. Got that it quality. You got that I know how to win quality.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's a real thing.
Which is a quality that Tua we haven't seen have. We know Kirk Cousins doesn't have it, and Dak might not have it either.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that just don't have that. And it's weird because it's unquantifiable. It's total eye test. It's totally subjective. There's nothing objective about it.
There's no way to judge it.
It's totally he just got it. He can win. And there's just as many people that argue against you as there are that will argue with you on that. Right? Oh, yeah, Brock Purdy's just got it. Oh, no, he doesn't. Blah, 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 blah. He's so lucky. Every quarterback has a level of luck to their game.
Correct. Of course, you need it.
You just have to have it.
But when the ball constantly drops in your favor,
there's just something about him, like
it's like I can't do luck all the time. It's just I don't know.
He's holding somebody ransom in his rental, right? That imbues him with these powers. Like it's like if okay, magical genie. If you don't let me be a great NFL quarterback, then I destroy your lamp or something. I don't know what happens. I don't know what the rules are, but he's there.
He's got something like that counts. That counts right now. I can't. It's not on the stat sheet anywhere. But what is on the stat sheet? Still MVP performance quarterback.
Crazy numbers. It's like one of those weird things. Like I know this argument has existed probably as long as numbers have existed, statistical for sports. The number is not always representative of the play.
Mm-hmm.
And it works in both directions. I think Trevor Lawrence's season, his play was better than his numbers, but his numbers are still pretty good.
Yeah, his numbers are pretty good this year. I thought he played better last year, though.
He did.
Yeah.
I think
This year his numbers were better because I think they put a better team around him this
Brock
year.
Purdy's got crazy numbers. And I don't think his play is bad. And sometimes he's just got ice in his veins. And you're like, how is this dude the one that
Well,
gets in this situation and wins every time?
yeah, because for 3 quarters, that guy wasn't playing on the game. He wasn't playing football for that guy.
Yeah.
But that fourth quarter came. All right, now it's time to turn it on.
Yeah. But and then you look at I know it's definitely not a fair comparison just because of careers, but you look at a guy like Joe Montana, who was also a 49er great, who won a bunch for the 49ers, who may not have been comparative to today's game, a statistical giant.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think Troy Aikman was a statistical giant. Joe Montana was not a statistical giant. I think Steve Young was a statistical giant for the time because of his running numbers and his throwing numbers. But Joe Montana just was the definition of that right? Like he's got that thing. Like he can throw a football 80 yards and knock a Pepsi can off of a stool, right? Like those are the things he can do. And when the game's on the line, he's going to put the ball where it needs to be. And it seems like Brock Purdy has that capability too. And I think it'll be interesting if he does that in the Super Bowl, what the 49ers do and what like not the NFL, but like the NFL discussion, the blogos, it's not really a blogosphere anymore, but that Twitterverse, that online discourse, what happens with Brock Purdy.
He hasn't played his best football in these playoffs.
No, he hasn't.
At all.
He's had good drives.
He's had good drives. He's won the game, 2 games for them. But he hasn't played his best football. We've seen better Brock Purdy. That's the question. Are we going to get the better Brock Purdy in this game? But once again, with the 49ers, do we need the better Brock Purdy? No. That's why I have to vote for, if we get the better Brock Purdy, there's a good chance that they win. If they don't, that's a good chance they might win. It's a slight chance.
There's a chance where Brock Purdy goes nuts. Like he completes 28 of 32 passes for 380 yards and 5 touchdowns. And you're just like, shit, I would have never seen that coming. But I think there's a chance that can happen because of the way that offense works. Like he doesn't have to sling it 60 yards downfield. His chunk plays originate 20 yards from the line of scrimmage, and then they turn into chunks. I think it'll happen. I think that's what's going to happen. I think the Chiefs will win, but if Brock Purdy goes Brock perfect,
if Brock Purdy does a game like that, just back the Brinks truck up.
Yeah, and they'll have to pay him.
He's getting paid.
But then if that happens, like I'm so happy for Brock Purdy, and I want him to win, and he gets paid. But then after that happens, there's the part of me where it's like, I hope he fails, and the San Francisco 49ers are anchored by this contract now, and they can't compete. Like there's that's the hater in me erupting. I want that to happen.
Oh, see, I like that. I like that because it's something that can happen.
I think there's a chance it happens with the Eagles too. I think Jalen Hurts. I think he had a really good season, but what if he's just kind of good? He's not great. He's not $255 million over 5 years great. He's just good.
In order to be $255 million over 5 years, you need to go back. He doesn't have to win again. I think winning helps, but he has to show that he can go back. Right? If you're consistently competing, then I think it's worth it. But if you don't, if they have another year like they had this year, or they don't make the playoffs at all,
I think that's possible. That's possible.
It's very possible.
And it might not be his fault.
This is their last year. That Eagles team in its current construction, this coming up year is going to be their last year. They may be able to convince Kelsey to come back on one more year. If they don't, they're down to center. Lane Johnson is going to retire one of these years. Then you lose your center and your right tackle. And then they're probably not bringing back Bradbury. Slay will probably not be back. I think they re-signed him, but he may leave after next year.
He almost left after last year.
But they signed him again. So I think for a 3-year deal. But they probably got it out after next year or this year. But I see Slay. And once they start losing these pieces, it's not going to be easy. They're going to have to re-sign AJ Brown soon. Devontae Smith's contract is going to start coming up. They probably have one or two more. Next year, to me, is their last year with this currently constructed team before they have to rebuild and before they start really feeling the pain on that contract. Because right now, to get that, the first year or two of the new contract is low. You don't really feel it against the cap that much. It's so.
Yeah, Devontae Smith he'll be his fourth season coming up, so he'll have to pick up his fifth year option. You
Yep.
got all of those Alabama guys on defense: Nolan Smith and Jordan
And I think
Davis, and
this is AJ Brown's third year in the team or
this
fourth?
will be AJ Brown's third year.
Because he's only signed a 4-year deal, I thought.
Yeah, so people are going to get paid. Yeah, I'm just wondering, like those contracts, just like Herbert. I know you don't like him, and I feel like he'll be great. But what if they don't win? Right? What if they're just stuck with that contract and a great quarterback, but they can't build pieces around him, which is very possible, right?
It's very possible.
Like you need a very shrewd GM that does a combination of drafting talent and bringing in the right free agents and extending the right people, and you don't get hamstrung with those huge contracts from chasing names and stuff.
I think it starts with drafting very good people because that's the cheapest talent you're going to get.
Mm-hmm.
It
always is.
It starts there, right?
Yep.
Like you want to keep them, but if you've always got the next crop coming up, you're less bound to have to pay for middle talent. You keep the great talent you have, and you're less likely to have to pay for middle around town because that's what really kills teams when you're paying middle of the road talent like high price talent just because they're your guys. Like when Julian Love played for the Giants, I was a huge fan of him, but we couldn't keep him. And now he's a Pro Bowler, all pro for the Seattle Seahawks. But for us, he was middle of the road. He was really good. But did we want to invest that kind of money in that guy? Like, and if you're constantly bringing guys up, you don't have to. But sometimes you're forced to pay those middle of the road talent guys top dollar, and then you'll never keep you'll never do well like that.
And the thing about bringing up the talent, the drafted talent, though, is a lot of those guys take 2, 3, 4 years to mature into being good NFL players.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to have a constant churn, a constant flow of talent. You have to your drafts. You have to hit on 3 players. You have to have 3 players in every draft be high caliber NFL contributors, and then the rest have to be just guys that fill in holes and are rotational. But you need to be constantly bringing in 3 low contract guys every year that are filling one of the 22 positions. And if your quarterback is already $60 million a year, it's not that one, right? So you have to you have to figure out where the rest are. And like the ones that I think that are hardest to draft and have immediate impact are on the Lions because they're just not NFL strong yet, and they don't have that NFL quality to them. So like offensive line, defensive line, those are the hardest ones. Those are the ones I think take the longest to mature.
Mm-hmm.
And then once they do mature, they're the most expensive to keep.
They definitely are. Yes.
Oh well.
Yep.
Well, Brock Purdy's going to go off for 500 yards, and the Chiefs win somehow. I don't know. I picked the Chiefs to win, but
that's your Chiefs. Chiefs is your pick.
I just Mahomes. But if Brock Purdy goes nuts, then Brock Purdy goes nuts.
All right.
There it is. All right. I guess we've been going at it for too long here, so we got to stop.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Harland's rubbing his eyes. I'm thinking about how I want to go to bed.
The Knicks did win, guys. So if you want to know if the Knicks did win, they did win. I had to double check.
And the Bulls won as well, man. I got the notification.
Yes, they did in overtime.
Yeah, against those Timberwolves. Oh boy. Well, this was and I am Derek.
I'm Harley.
And we're out.
Peace out.
Yeah.